How's it going, everyone? This is Kevin. Today I want to bring along with me to talk about the one thing missing on the Sony A7S III. So let's jump right into it. The A7S III has been an amazing camera ever since I got it. It's seriously a beast of a camera when it comes down to the video and everything that I've used it for when it comes down to my content creation, but there's still something missing. You might think this is a little bit of a silly thing what I'm about to tell you, but ever since I had a feature in another camera that it has, I've always thought that it wowould be a great addition to the Sony A7S III, and I wonder why they didn't do it from the start. Are you ready to know? It is the switch like the Sony A7 IV. Yes, you heard me right. I am talking about the switch that the Sony A7 IV has when it comes down to switching from video to photo mode into the S&Q mode. This little switch that I've talked about before has been phenomenal when it comes down to the Sony A7 IV, with being able to switch from the photo mode to the video mode to the S&Q mode very fast and very customizable. Now, the switch alone has made it pretty much to be my favorite thing about the A7 IV, with just the ease of use and something that I wish the Sony A7S III would have had from the start, because it's just so much faster and just so much more efficient when it comes down to shooting modes and customization within the camera itself. And that's something that the A7S III is a little bit lacking behind from what the A7 IV provides. So what's made it very cool with this camera is just being able to just access the S&Q mode and do a lot of customization, because you get the 1, 2, 3 kind of, I guess, buttons right here that you would be able to customize it like how you would on the A7S III. But the problem with the A7S III is that you only get 3 of them, versus on the A7 IV with the switch of the photo to video to the S&Q, you essentially get 3 in each one of them, which allows me to do more customization within the camera when it comes down to my photo, videos, and everything. So now if I'm translating it to just more the video aspects for the Sony A7S III, having the video mode to do my 3 customizations and then also the S&Q would allow me to go a lot faster to do any type of slow motion, time lapses, and just anything that I need to do between the video and the S&Q a lot faster. Because one thing that I honestly kind of dislike about the Sony A7S III is having to press down the button itself to then be able to change the mode that it comes down to. Because whenever you have the pressing down of the button, you can't just click it like how you could with this manual like exposure, or like you have the exposure dial, you just click it and you can turn it around and then click it down to, you know, save it. You have to hold it down to move it around to get to the other customization buttons that you have, or if you want to go back to like kind of like the manual mode, video mode, for any sort of things for photography as well. So that's a little bit of a downfall that I think on the A7S III just lacks compared to the A7 IV, which also makes it a little bit harder with using my small rig, camera rig kind of cage that I have for my A7S III, because it also allows, you know, it doesn't allow it to move as easy as I would like it to. So now just having the click down button, at least for the A7S III, where you can just click it one time and then be able to move it and then click it again, would have made it a little bit easier to change modes a lot faster. But with that case, that's something that I noticed that the A7S III is lacking, because the A7 IV, in all, it's just been a lot nicer with the customization and the ease of use with efficiency, because switching modes with just this one little switch dial right here allows me to be a lot faster whenever I'm creating photos and videos and trying to do my S&Q modes, whether it's for slow motion or time lapses. Now that's something that I wish the Sony A7S III had from the start. Sadly, it's obviously too late to do that, but something to consider for Sony in the future going forward. I think a lot of people can agree that this has been a great addition to the A7 IV to just be more faster, more customizable, and just the ease of use a lot better. So that's something that I had in mind when it came down to the switch, since I've been using it quite a bit when it comes down to my A7 IV. And when I'm using my A7S III, I've been keeping it more at just the 24 frames per second or 120 if I need to do that. Sometimes a 60 frames per second for slow motion, but I don't have to change too much. Obviously, I would have liked it where this camera could have allowed me to do at least a little bit better with the photos as well, even though it's not made for that, mainly because if I'm traveling and I just want to condense down to one camera and I want to be a little bit more video centered with some photography, the A7S III still has enough photography quality when it comes down to that to be able to get some good photos, even at 12 megapixels. I don't have any bother with that. But the problem is having to change between the settings fast enough to do that it just kind of hinders that, and that's just my thoughts. That's something that I really love about the A7 IV, and I wish the A7S III would have implemented something like that with such a pristine camera. But yeah, that's pretty much the thought that I had of this. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not. I would love to know your thoughts. Do you think the Sony A7S III would have benefited with a nice little switch like the Sony A7 IV has when it comes down to changing your photo to video settings to S&Q? That way you can customize it even further, since that camera with the A7 IV, just the customization is unreal. That's just something that came to a thought and just wanted to discuss today to let people know if they're deciding between the A7S III to the A7 IV, if they're wanting to have more customization but not have the 120 frames per second in 4K, you still get it at 1080p at 10-bit. If you do the S&Q mode, which you have the little switch now to get access to it quicker. So just curious to know if you guys think too much about the switch. Do you like the switch on the A7 IV, or would you have preferred that it didn't have it, just like how the A7S III has kept it with like holding it down the button and switching it around that way? But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.